Welcome back. This week's video, I'll be explaining exactly how to create the most effective revision timetable to achieve the best grades possible. The revision timetable was definitely a key asset that helped me achieve 12 nines at GCSE, and I definitely believe it can help improve your grades too. As a GCSE student, you can be juggling up to 10 different GCSE subjects in 1 year. I myself completed 11 GCSEs in year 11, and allocating time for all of these to make sure they got the amount of attention required was definitely a struggle. So I can imagine how it is for a lot of students, especially around GCSE mocks or your real GCSE exam periods, where you may have content heavy papers very close together, meaning cramming all the information would not be possible. Not saying that you should be cramming, but in this instance it definitely would not be an option, and you would need to create a very effective and optimal revision timetable to make sure you're able to cover all content. And the importance of planning is quite obvious in all aspects of life, not just revision. As the famous quote goes, if you fail to prepare, then you prepare to fail. However, by creating the efficient timetable that I show you in this video, you definitely won't fail. The timestamps will be linked below, so you can skip to the part you need the most. However, if you want to gain the most value, just watch through the whole video. Okay, first of all, I'm going to start with the ineffective revision timetables, and this is the prospective timetable. I'm sure you've seen those timetables where each hour of the day has been allocated a certain subject, and it's a very strict and linear regime with no leeway or time for a different event, and it's not very adaptable. These are called prospective revision timetables, and they are what most people do, but they're not as effective as retrospective revision timetables. Now, this is because these sorts of timetables often create a facade of productivity. This is because after making one, you start imagining yourself as the perfect student who finishes all their work on time, revises for the exact amount of allocated time, and gets the perfect grades. However, this is simply unachievable. This timetable is unachievable and not effective for the three reasons that I'll be explaining. Firstly, this revision timetable values the wrong things. Now, what I mean by this is that prospective revision timetables value time rather than actual output or work done. For example, have you ever been in that situation where you sit down at your desk to work and you find yourself wasting time not actually starting studying, and you've been at your desk for half an hour and you haven't done any work because you've been distracted by your phone or just can't be bothered to start? By the time the hour's finished, you'll go ahead thinking you've completed an hour of work, or you're thinking you've been productive. This is ineffective because a lot of your time will not be spent on focused, concentrated work, but rather you being distracted, not working, or your eyes constantly looking at the clock, waiting for the time to pass by so you can leave and have a break. And it is quite obvious that time spent does not equal work done. It should not be the main factor in revising, but instead output. As Ali Abdal put it, where prospective revision timetables make you think of revision as a function of time rather than a function of topics or output. The next reason why this timetable is not effective is because every day is different. Some days you may have random things that pop up that may ruin your timetable or mean that there's a backlog of work, and this could potentially lead to you not covering subjects because you've so tightly packed them in a timetable where you're unable to deal with any random events that come up or any inconveniences. And this could lead to you failing your exams, which is not what you want. And lastly, the most important reason why the prospective revision timetable is not good is that it doesn't optimize the topics and subjects you revise to be the ones that you require the most of your attention and the ones that you need the most help on. For example, after a bad test result, you would definitely need to focus on that topic more than others. However, prospective revision timetables don't often allot for these sort of inconveniences, as well as, more importantly, not including spaced repetition. Although early in this video I made the point that you shouldn't think of revision as a function of time, this doesn't mean you should completely disregard time when revising. Now, this is because there's a law called Parkinson's law that states the work that you do will expand to fill the time allotted for its completion. So in simpler terms, the more time that you give a task or topic that needs to be covered, the longer it's going to take you for this topic to be completed. You should definitely set estimates and be reasonable in how long you're spending on certain topics, but it doesn't mean you should specifically be blocking out times of the day to do certain subjects, because life isn't always that straight, and your schedule should definitely be more flexible than that. As well as at GCSE, you don't need to be tirelessly revising to achieve the top grades, but just effective revision often will be enough to do the trick. Now we're going to go into the tutorial on how to create a retrospective revision timetable. So now I'm going to be showing you exactly how to create this retrospective revision timetable. And also, I'd like to take a moment to appreciate Ali Abdal, as his video on revision timetables was the main source of inspiration for this video. Now let's get started. Okay, so first thing you need to do is go onto Google Sheets. From this, you open a new spreadsheet. Firstly, on the left-hand side column, list all the different topics you have in a certain subject. For this, we'll take GCSE AQA Biology. Okay, now once you've done this, in the next column, you're going to title it Dates First Studied. Then fill in the days you're planning on studying this subject. So once you've done this, let's skip forward a few days. Well, the next thing to do would be highlighting the subject based on how well you record the information or how well you understood it the first time you did it. This can be through flashcards, mind maps, or blurting. And so let's say cell biology did not go very well at all. You'd highlight this red so that you know it's a subject that definitely needs your attention. So go do this after revising all the subjects. Once you've done this and you come back to revise the next week, you'll see that cell biology and ecology are topics that you definitely need to work on. And so these would be your primary focuses. And so when you revise, you then cover this. So let's say you come back. These dates. Okay, and so now you've filled in the new dates that you're going to do. Then after the revision session, you'll then again, like you did before, highlight how well the session went. So you go ahead and do that. And you would then repeatedly do this until eventually, after a few months, the whole subject is green and you know you're fully ready for the exams. And I think that this is a good succinct representation of how the retrospective revision timetable works and how it's very effective when paired with spaced repetition and active recall to achieve the best grades possible. Lastly, to end the video, here are some miscellaneous tips for when revising. I'd say one of them would be to identify when you're most effective studying. This would be, for example, as I used Anki a lot when revising for GCSEs, I naturally wanted to get my review cards out the way as early as possible. I became very effective in mornings where first thing I'd do would be to complete my Anki cards because this would mean I know I've done it and it's out of the way and I can continue with my day. However, you might be someone who likes to start the day off slowly and then kick into their revision later in the day, which is fine. It's dependent on whatever works for you. Another tip that a teacher at my school gave me would be when planning your revision and trying to fit in past papers. When planning your revision, make sure you allocate time to fit in past papers. Now this is because the best way to emulate your real performance in an exam would be to set your past papers at the exact or similar time to when you'll be doing it in the real exam. For example, 9 AM or 1 PM. There's no use starting past papers at 11:30 at night because your brain is probably not going to be as effective at retrieving information as it would be at 9 o'clock in the morning. And so finding ways to put these into your schedule would definitely be very effective. Finally, there's still loads of time left to achieve the best results at GCSE. It's still very early stages and I had not even started revising at this point, and so there's no need to worry if you haven't properly got into your revision. However, you will need to know that soon you will need to start thinking about how you're going to approach revision. I think subscribing to this channel would be the best idea. If you need more tips on GCSEs, I'd say you go watch this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.